Hey guys, welcome back to another Building Better People podcast that is a 10-minute pep talk. So the format for a 10-minute pep talk is my goal is to finish in 10 minutes. And most of the time I do. Sometimes I go a little over. I have been known to go for 20, but my goal today is to keep it at 10. And really it's just to encourage you. It is to give you something that is inspired by either a conversation that I've had in the gym in the last few weeks, or maybe a thought that I've had about my fitness journey, or doing personal training and coaching people in this area for as long as I've been doing it. So what I want to talk about today is when exercise actually can become unhealthy. And it's a topic that I think I don't necessarily bring up too often because I want to encourage people to work out. And I actually love it when people do it a lot. And I think it's great to be active. But I want to talk about what happens when it gets to an unhealthy degree, and kind of what I'm going to call the obsession of exercise, or the idolatry of exercise that drives us to an unhealthy mental place about exercise. So the best example that I can use is my own. And I think you don't do this for 20 years and without having experienced some of that. And I think it's a very fine line. It's almost like walking on the tightrope, because I love to work out and I love to do it so much. But when the workout itself controls me, or when, the addiction to it is unhealthy, is kind of when I need to be aware. So I'm going to go back and kind of like give a little bit of my fitness journey just to kind of set up the conversation. So I was overweight for the majority of my life. My teenage years, I turned 18 in February of 2000. I got on the scale. I was 242 pounds. And felt really gross and disgusting, and just for the first time really thought, man, I need to do something. I had gained probably about 20 pounds since the end of football season that fall, and so the weight that I had put on was all fat. So I decided I'm going to start and I'm going to begin running, and I ran 2 miles and did that. I mean, the first time I did it, I didn't run much. I walked most of it, but I ended up doing that about 3 days a week, and I cut soft drinks out. And then within 3 months, I lost 40 pounds, which was amazing. Well, fast forward a little bit, I go to the YMCA back home, and I grew up in Houston, kind of the Cypress area, and there's a YMCA right there at 249 in Cypress Wood, if you're familiar with it. And I started working out in the weight room there. That was kind of my first summer of really getting into strength training and weightlifting. And even though I did it in football, I hated it. So I never necessarily consider that a season of working out. But that summer after my senior year, I did a lot of exercise. I love it. I mean, at that time, I'm 18. My body's changing. I'm getting compliments. I'm starting my fitness journey. Come to Texas A&M. I started going to the rec center, and the rec center was awesome. I ended up, going up there all the time, and just fell in love with exercise, met a ton of people up there and continued to get results. Well, fast forward to the summer after my freshman year. And this is where I'm going to confess that it probably got a little unhealthy, both on the diet and the exercise portion. So by this point, I'm 19 years old. And I remember that summer because, school let out here in College Station probably early May. And I go home. I think I took one summer class or two at Tomball Junior College, but didn't have a huge responsibility there. I did wait tables at a place called Willie's Grill and Ice House, which we have one here now. And my schedule in that summer, it was very rigid and strict, to the extent of, certain foods that I was eating. I ate the same thing every day. And I can tell you that I woke up, I had, at the time it was cereal. And again, this was 19, and you don't know what you're really doing because you're just doing what you think is healthy. And for the longest time, I think cereal had convinced me that it was healthy if you ate a certain brand. And so I ate Honey Bunches of Oats, and I ate that for breakfast, and it was a controlled portion. And then I would go to the gym and I would work out for 2.5 hours. And I would do every single day in that 2.5 hours, I would do 20 minutes of cardio and 10 minutes of abs. And so I, would work out for 2 hours. The workouts I was doing were the workouts maybe that I found in like magazines, like Muscle and Fitness or something like that. And then I drink a protein shake right after my workout. There was a Smoothie King across the street from the YMCA. And that was really the first time I discovered protein powder. And I drank a Lean Body protein shake. It had 42 grams of protein. And then I'd go home, I'd get ready, and then I'd go to work. And I waited tables, so I'd be on my feet pretty much the entire time. And I'd have a little protein bar during the shift that I was working. And then I would get off work and I'd eat basically the same thing, chicken and rice. So that was my diet, along with the workouts. I can tell you that for the entire summer, which would have been 4 months, really, May, June, July, and by the time I come back to College Station, it's, middle to late August. The only number of days that I missed working out were probably 3. Well, that to me was an obsession. It was unhealthy because not only was my diet unhealthy in my perspective, and my exercise was unhealthy in my perspective. Because today, I could even argue that I probably work out a little bit more. Sometimes I'll work out and I'll do a CrossFit class, and then I might go out for a 3-mile run later just because it's nice. But my perspective, the reason behind it, the thought, the thing that makes me do it, the drive behind it is very different. When I was 19 and I was eating that way and I was exercising that way, I was obsessive about it. I actually got down to 182 pounds. And that sometimes happens when we turn exercise into an unhealthy idol or unhealthy obsession, is we end up, maybe losing too much weight. And the wake up call for me was my older brother. I have an older brother who's 4 years older than me. And we're grown up together, obviously, our whole life. And to this day, he's, still a very great friend and somebody I look up to. But at that time, I was 19, he was 23. And the wake-up call was him just telling me, like, dude, you look, like, bad. And I remember thinking in that time, I'm like, I felt like I was lean. I felt like I was, looking better. But looking back at pictures, and this is not from a phone because this was 2001, but looking back through actually like printed pictures, for those that remember, that's what we used to do. We used to print pictures. But looking back through printed pictures of that summer, I did look very unhealthy. Like I looked very thin, my face, my body, my muscles didn't even look full. And, the reason for that is because I wasn't eating enough and I was working out too much and I wasn't eating to support the exercise I was doing. So, that happened early in my fitness journey, and I can give other examples later, but I think it's the best example because I think what happens is we fall in love with it. I was 242 pounds, felt really bad about the way I looked and felt really unhealthy. And fast forward, at this point, I guess 15, 16 months, right, by the summer. So this was February of 2000 when I weighed 242 pounds. And then by July of 2001, I was down to 182 pounds. And I think sometimes we have to understand, what is the motivation behind the workout? What is the motivation behind the diet? And that helps you kind of uncover, like, are you in a healthy place or an unhealthy place? If you are really obsessing to an unhealthy degree about your diet and about your workouts, like if you happen to miss a workout just because, right? Sometimes life happens and you just cannot handle it. Like it is now ruining your day to an unhealthy degree. You cannot accept that just is how that happened. Or maybe you even you go out for a workout at 9:00 at night just to do something. And again, the motive behind that is how to measure whether you're in a good place or not a good place. And sometimes we don't know. Like, we can't identify that on our own. And for me, my older brother helped me identify that. And maybe you need to ask somebody that you know very well. This is probably the best advice I can give you, is just ask somebody who you trust, who also knows you and loves you enough to be honest with you, and just say, hey, do you think I'm doing this like the right way or to a healthy place? Or do you think I'm, maybe a little bit obsessed? And I promise you, they'll tell you the truth. I mean, if they really love you and they know you well, they'll be honest with you. And so this pep talk is just, again, it's not the normal one where I'm going to tell you, hey, exercise, diet, do all these things. This is actually the one where I'm going to tell you, like, hey, if you are somebody who's probably turned exercise into an idol, or exercise into an obsession, or diet to an idol or obsession, that can actually be unhealthy. And it can kind of diminish all the benefit, because now it's not what it's intended to be. So if you need a little bit more on this topic, I would love to have a conversation with you about it, and feel free to message me or reach out to me. But I hope this encourages you today. I hope it gets you thinking. And ultimately, I want you to be on a healthy fitness journey for the rest of your life. All right. Have a great day.